Welcome to episode 11 of the Battle Vault, a No Dice, No Glory podcast dedicated to the world of Battle Vault's 15mm tactical gaming, which includes Flames of War, WW3 Team Yankee, Great War, Fate of the Nation, and NAM. Today is the 27th of October. I'm Ed, and I'm joined by my friend Tom. So, Tom, what are we doing this time?
Hey, Ed, thanks, man. How you doing?
Oh, making it.
Yeah. Well, we got Halloween around the corner, so I think, do we have that to look forward to? Can kids even come to our house this year? I'm not sure
I
how
don't
that.
know.
Yeah. I think we'll maybe just have to put a couple small bags of candy on the porch or something and deal with it. So,
And watch one kid take all of it.
Yeah. Well, this is our October episode, and I guess we might call it the Red October episode because a big part of our focus is going to be on the Team Yankee World War III Soviet book. But before we get into that, we'll cover Mentioned in Dispatches. We'll go over some recent Flames of War and Team Yankee and tournament results, so provide you some intel there. Then we're going to go into the Team Yankee Soviet book, and that will be the main focus, the Red October focus. And then we'll go into our race to Minsk update, so people can hear how our ongoing campaign for that is. We're up to 3 games done in that. And then we'll get the rules Ed forgot, although, spoiler alert, it's rules Tom forgot on this one. And then we'll talk about future operations coming up that, some of the, we know of at least 3 tournaments scheduled between now and the end of this year. And we also know that Toys for Tots Battle Rankings is putting some information together. Battlefront will support Toys for Tots this year, and Battle Ranking is producing the details on the program here shortly. So we might have an update on that by the time we get to the last session. But before we get on, Jumbo, so Ed, what have you been working on lately?
Well, I'm slowly working on stuff. I just got a couple of items here that I'm just trying to catch up on. I got some terrain, some buildings I'm painting. But my main project is doing my typhoons for my British force.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so I've been wanting, I want to play my British. One day maybe I will, but I want to have them at least ready for definitely by next September. The potential for the bridge too far kind of scenario, market garden.
Yeah, all right, sounds good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the typhoons, especially like them with the D-Day invasion stripes. Pretty
That's
awesome.
what I'm working on. That's the hard part.
Yeah. Using tape, painter's tape?
No. I'm actually trying something new, and it looks like it's holding just fine. I actually I printed it out and shrank it to the appropriate size. Mm-hmm. And then I'm using Elmer's glue to base it on there. And then I did a coating with Elmer's glue over it to give a slight coating to hold it in so no air would get underneath there, no other thing. It didn't smear or anything. And so my test model is holding, and so I'll be able to put, do the finishing touches on the aircraft and then put a glaze over it with some laminate, some type of laminate.
So you're using Elmer's glue to do the D-Day invasion stripes? Is that what I understood?
Yeah, the printed stripes, shrunk to the right size, and then cut to fit into the where the shape of the wing and stuff. So make sure they're still straight ahead. All
right, so you're printing out the stripes and then applying them.
Yes.
Okay, and I understand. Okay, cool. Well, I'd like to see how that looks. I just gave my typhoons. Actually, I didn't paint my typhoons. My good buddy Chris Grau painted the typhoons I have. He's a world-class painter, so kind of cheated on that one. But yeah. I do have some of the Tamiya painting tape, little thin tape that you want to try that sometimes. I got a couple rolls of that you can borrow. So, oh, cool.
Well, my project seems to be holding up. It's been since last weekend, and it's holding, and I'm happy. I'm just hoping by putting the decals on it doesn't cause any smearage.
All right, sounds cool. Well, we'll have to take some photos and post them on the no dice, no glory forum under the painting section. Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. New technique may help out some other folks. Well, for me, I've been working on World War II Soviets, still in my bagration mobilization, ton of T-34s, IS-2s, ISU 152s, and the recon guys, the submachine gunners riding around inside the universal carriers. So that big lot is underway. There's the Typhoons. You can't see it, folks, but I can. Looking good. Those are very convincing. Yeah. And so that big Soviet force, I was hoping to have it done before the end of October, because in order to meet my 365 team goal for this year, I need to start on the next batch. These guys are going to get me into the 200s. And so that leaves basically about 70 some a month I need to do between November and December. That's going to be a tough call. So it sounds like some World War III Team Yankee Soviet T-80s being spray painted coming up. I might have some of that coming on.
They might not look really good, but at least they're done.
Yeah. Well, I did pre-order them. I pre-ordered the Team Yankee Soviet World War III book, card set, and the starter box, which it's gonna be a great set. I mean, good Lord, it has the nice thing, it has a lot of stuff I don't have yet or use more of. It's T-80 tanks, BMP3s. It has BRDM2 plastic kits, which can be built as any variant. I don't need any more of those, but it's still nice to have the new model to play with.
Yeah.
2 more Su-25s, and I can use just 2 more of those, and 2 Hind Ds. And I have another 2, so that will give me a total of 10 Hind Ds here in the near future. So anyways, I'm about to have another Soviet expansion here, even though I didn't think I was going to. So anyways, well, good enough of that. So let's transition and get into the events that have happened lately. So why don't you kick us off with the first one there, Ed?
Okay, let me scroll down here in my notes.
Yeah,
all right, the first one I have is the October Faust. It was
cool
and that was, what's that?
Cool name.
Yeah, I know. That was the hint of what it was. So that's pretty cool. All right, and so on the 17th of October, holy smoke, all right, so it was a 78-point late war. Okay, a Family Time Games in Indianapolis. Excuse me. Let's see. Able Company was putting it on. It was a normal 3-round tournament using the Mission Matrix. And Tom, remind me what the Mission Matrix was. What do you mean? You talking about the attacker defender thing? Is that what they're talking about?
Yes, battle plans, and they could only use each stance twice, so they could only use attack, defend, or maneuver twice out of the. So, in one of the 3 rounds, they had to do something other than what they were doing in the other 2 rounds.
Okay, so it may not have been exactly what they wanted to do for the force they were fighting at that last time. So that's good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Right.
We've played in events that have used that before, and especially with Able Company.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Let's take a look. Do you want me to start at the top or bottom this time?
Bottom.
All right, bottom up. Yeah. I won't go there. All right, so
what?
You and bottom. Okay, just say it. All right, so Randy, what is it? I got that small print for me. I need to make that a little bigger so I can read with my new glasses. Hopefully, this will be a little better. Randy Rapper.
Yep. We hope it's Rapper.
I bet he catches a hard time the other ways. Randy Rapper playing a Soviet Hero motor rifle. Okay, that was the last place of a 12-player tournament. Okay, that's sad to hear that. I kind of like that formation. All right, so Jason Stubbs with the U.S. and tank destroyer combination formation there.
Yep, that was U.S. rifles and U.S. tank destroyers. Yep.
Yes. I thought I said that. Okay, Spencer Robert playing German Panzer Grenadiers.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Teague with U.S. Sherman Force.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. That was 9th place. 8th place, we got Chris Fretz with his Soviet Hero shock rifle, and got best sport. So he won something.
Yeah. You always expect he's going to be a
No,
contender for that sport.
Yeah. All right. Kurt Vetter's playing German Grenadiers as well.
Panzer Grenadiers.
Panzer Grenadiers. Chris Novak also playing Panzer Grenadiers.
Right.
And now we're getting in the top 5 places. In 5th place, we have Andrew Hobson playing Soviet Hero T-34, which is what I'm playing a lot lately.
Yeah.
Tom Shook with U.S. Veteran Armor Rifles. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's 4th place. Yeah. Okay. Richard Novak in 3rd place with the Soviet Hero Motor Rifles. And 2nd place, we got William Brown playing German SS Grenadiers.
SS Panzer Grenadiers.
Why am I having a hard time reading this thing? Panzer Grenadiers. Yeah.
All the German players that are Panzer Grenadiers.
Yeah. New segment. Words Ed forgot. Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Can't read.
Can't read. Yeah. And he also got Best Army. I would have liked to have seen a picture of that.
Yeah, he's a good painter.
Yeah. And then finally, this is a shocker, actually. Number 1, Joe Lewis. But he was playing a Panzer IV unit formation. Yep.
It was a shock to see him up there. Not him by name, because we usually expect to see him at the top. But to go, and he went to, he's got 20 points there. So he went 8-1 in all 3 games. So pretty respectable run with a not so well appreciated formation.
Yeah. I do like Panzer IVs as well.
Yeah, and you can take a scroll down.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
You can see the list that he ran right there.
Okay, you want me to cover that one too? Let's take a look at that. I want to share that. Okay, so let's see, what do we got here? Okay, this was again a 78-point force. And in the main force, it was a mixed Panzer IV, Panzer III force. So it was made up of the headquarters of 1 Panzer IV 75 and 1 Panzer III 50 millimeter, or 5 cm. Either way, it's the same thing. The next platoon was a Panzer IV mixed platoon. All 3 were Panzer IVs. Matter of fact, all of his platoons, he has 3 platoons of Panzer IVs with 3 in each. Right. So only his headquarters platoon XO had the 1 Panzer III.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very good. Let's see. So in support, he had the SS Scout Troop with the 250s on there. Let's see. A Hummel SS Artillery Battery, 3 Hummels. All right. So heavy duty stuff there with the Panzer III OP. And he had 1 platoon of Panzer Grenadiers with just the infantry, not the half tracks. So, and he also added the of course the Panzerfaust team for 2 points there.
Yeah. And so interesting thing about this is what he did was his main formation came out of Fortress Europe. That's where you get the Panzer III, Panzer IV mixed tank company. Yes. But his support book, he used the support book coming from the D-Day Waffen SS.
Yeah.
So that's the trend you might see more of, because the D-Day Waffen SS support is awesome. The D-Day Waffen SS formations, debatably less awesome. Although William Brown did very well with 2nd place with a full up D-Day SS Waffen list. So let's roll into that one.
Okay. Again, let's go. The main, let's see. We've got. Okay, so his headquarters was, of course, the 2 submachine gun guys. And we have 2 platoons of SS Panzer Grenadiers. I don't see a Faust option on there.
No, he did take the Panzer Faust command cards, though.
I see. Okay, several command cards here. All right, we'll go with that in a second. Of course, he had a good 8 cm mortar battery there for things there. Pack 75 millimeter Pack 40s there, 3 guns. For support, he had the 250 Scout Troop, and it looks like he had a Tiger platoon of 3 Tigers as well for 37 points. That's almost half the price of his whole force. And let's see, he had some good cards, though. He had the 88 Assault Flak card there.
Right.
And so an 88, where did I see that?
Yeah, so what that does is it's a command card that lets him buy a cheaper version of the Flak 88 unit. So they're not fearless. So they won't unpin. And you should notice something very similar about this list right here, Ed.
Yeah, I think I recognize that card exactly.
Well,
with the nets there.
The whole list you should almost, with minor variations.
Yes, that's what I've been fighting you.
Exactly right. Yeah, this is very, very similar to the force that I've been using as the basis for our Race to Minsk campaign. So now this was less points. We're playing at 100, so I have more Panthers. He had the Tigers. But yeah, so basically, he's using that 17th Goltz von Berchtesgaden Volksdeutsch card, which reduces the cost of those units. Their last stand gets reduced, but once again, we've had that discussion. Once they get down to 2 teams, do we really care? And of course, the pack front to go with the cheaper 88s. But he probably had the same problem I did, is that those guns have a hard time getting unpinned because they're not fearless for unpinning. So they reduces their rate of fire quite a bit sometimes. But yeah, so basically very familiar force for us. Just we play at more points. So instead of the 3 Tigers, I have the 5 Panthers. That's the main significant difference. So good deal. And then we come back to Richard Novak. I know it says Chris Novak there, but it was Richard Novak who came in third. And also, let us say that good to see Chris Novak and his dad Richard playing again. I think it's been a while since, probably since before the COVID-19 surge, way back in March when it first came to the forefront. So been a while since we've seen those guys gaming, but both father and son were there. And then Richard did really well coming in third place with that Hero Motor Rifle Battalion. So why don't you tell us what Richard was rocking?
Okay, with the Hero Motor Rifle Battalion, you're going to have the normal headquarters 2 stands there with the submachine guns. And let's see, what did he put together in his Hero Motor Rifle Company? He had 2 of those with 10 DPMG teams and 1 commissar. He had a Hero T-3485 company with 4 T-3485s, and he had the 82 millimeter mortar company, 3 mortar tubes. That made up his main formation. Let's see. Did we have any support on here?
Yes.
Yes.
Support for
I see it. Okay, so he used a Fortress Europe Soviet formation support force of M3 Stuart tanks, 6 of them. Yeah. For 9 points, next to nothing. What a good choice that was. He had 2 cards, the Decoy Tank Company, and in that Decoy Tank Company, he had 3 Panthers for 21 points. So yes, I think we'll probably see that more often. And the other cool card that he had was the RPG-6 card for his infantry to use in assaults.
Yep, so and he had that. Both platoons had that. So, or both companies, I should say. Yeah, I like this force.
It's a good deal. Yeah.
Yeah, 78 points, pretty much a bargain base. He's got 4 T-3485s, 3 Panthers, and 6 Stuarts, and at 78 points, and he still has decent infantry with artillery, effectively the mortars, and so it's a good basic combined arms force at a low point level. So cool job! Congratulations to Richard and William and Joe for top 3 placing, and then for Chris for best sports and. Chris Fretz, and then best painted also to William Brown. All right, well, that brings us up to another event that occurred in our region on that same day, which was at a Game Table Adventures on October 17th, but this was a Team Yankee event up in Newark, Ohio, and only had 8 players, and John Meyer, our buddy, who we've interviewed here on the past, came in first place, running a Israeli mech company and the light attack company from the new US book. So he had two formations, going back to one of our earlier podcast discussions about, when do you want to run two formations? Obviously, this is one of the times you want to do it.
Yeah.
Team Yankee, I think he'll do it a bit more than Flames of War. And so pretty interesting that he was able to basically get this Israeli mech platoon with two full Israeli mech company with the headquarters, two full platoons. And I like those platoons. They have a 52 millimeter mortar team and a Dragon and RPGs and FN mags and Galils and M72 teams. So it's a really neat little mixed batch of stuff inside of M113s. So he had two of those. He had three Merkava 2s, so pretty much the high-end version of the Merkava. And then he also had a 81 millimeter mortar platoon, three tracks of 81s. The 113 Observer. He had the 106 120 mortar, so he has two mortar units. He has the Para anti-tank platoon, which is that funky beyond line of sight launch missile. Those things, they shoot anything on the board as if it's concealed, but they don't have to have line of sights because it's a fiber optic guided missile or something along those lines where it zooms in. And then some anti-aircraft support, some red-eye teams. And then his U.S. ally formation he brings in with the fast attacks with all Humvees. Humvee headquarters of two Humvees, light attack platoon with four Humvees, another light attack platoon with four Humvees. One of them has the minigun upgrade, four tow Humvees, four of the RDF LT tanks. That's the G.I. Joe tank with the the gone to ground even after they fire because of the mass mounted weapon system.
The Hammerhead main gun.
Yep, and then a ninth motor scout section with more Humvees, more Mark 19s and Mark M2s, and also another tow. So awesome force for 85 points. And apparently, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't post the standings of everybody who was there, so I don't know who else was there, what else they played. I know Richard Bear was there from Pittsburgh, but I don't know what people played, and I only saw them mention that on Facebook that 8 players were there. John won, and then they posted John's list, or John posted his own list. So thanks, John, for doing that, so we can share this with everybody out there in the field. All right. Well, we had a late breaking announcement. One of the events that we were not able to, or we did not cover earlier, we now have information on. And even better than information, we actually had the tournament organizer, Tom Gall, here with us. So, Tom, why don't you tell us what happened at Tankers Challenge? When was it, what occurred, and how did it shake out?
Hey, guys. So this was held at D6 Games, and this was just the past weekend. So let me see. That would have been the October 23rd, if I remember my dates right. Okay. We had a very special format for this particular Team Yankee event, and so I think this is something that it's kind of cool. I'd like to see more of it. We had fun with it, just because it encouraged list building and encouraged people to play things that they wouldn't necessarily normally play. So the whole idea of the Tankers Challenge is that you needed to play main battle tanks. So we only had certain core formations that were legal. For that you had to devote at least 50 points to. So just to give you some examples, what we were trying to do is that you had to have like a tank with a front armor of like around 17 or better, and you needed a main gun that was likewise in the 19s and above. So this unfortunately meant that like a French list was not something that was legal for the day. T50
AMX-30 did not make the cut.
AMX-30s did not make the cut. T55s did not make the cut. The T72M did, but this is to encourage people to get out there, like their Challengers and their Chieftains and their M1s and all the various forms that you got, the Leo 2s and all that kind of good stuff. And
how about the Leopard 1 and M60? Were they considered main battle tanks or?
No.
they were by those nations during the day, but not at this event. Okay, I got it.
Didn't make the cut for this one. So here's the thing: you had to spend at least 50 points in some of those named formations I just talked about, and then the next 25 points that you were to spend had to be in tank teams. And of course, in Team Yankee, tank teams is a pretty liberal definitions. I mean, mobile artillery is a tank team, but the point is you had to spend that in tank teams. So if you wanted to, buy more chieftains or anything like that, you sure could. That was totally cool, but it at least gave you a little bit more freedom to do with the next 25 points. Then the next 25 points, so it was 100 points all total in the tournament. Then for that last 25, you could do anything that you wanted.
Okay.
And so it was really interesting to see how people would kind of spend that last 25, because there was some infantry that was thrown in there. There was some pretty aggressive air that was thrown in there. It was kind of all over the place, and it was interesting to see how people were matching up. But okay, so let me just kind of roll through some of the main lists. So we had chieftains. So that was Mike Hendrickson. We had Walker with his M1s. I was rocking T64 Soviets. We had Leo 2s with JB Cedarberg's list. Chris Grau was running T72Ms, and his East Germans, as he loves to play. John Cedarberg was running T72s. Let's see. Michael Cron was running T72s as Soviets. Keith Gilmore was running Challengers, which was pretty cool. And then Ryan Waldock was running M1s, and he had Bradley rolling around on the table too.
That's cool.
So
Ed would like this with his Leopard 2s.
Yeah. Leopard 2s were doing pretty well. So one of the cool things about this kind of list building is that because you've got so many tanks rolling around, the games play a lot faster too.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we got 4 rounds in, and we got done early, so it would not have been a stretch had we even gone to 5 rounds. I think that would have been quite reasonable to do. We stuck to 4 though. That was enough.
And how many players you said? It sounded like about a dozen.
So for this one we had 9.
Okay.
So that was kind of unfortunate, but
yeah. Well, so you didn't need any more than 4 rounds for sure for that.
No, not for that number. Yeah. So the overall winner of the tournament actually was Keith Gilmore and his challengers.
Often you hear that challengers for the win, huh?
Yeah. Did we talk to Keith about his British, Tom?
Yeah. I bet you did, because he's definitely one of the ranked, if not the best, British player. And then Ryan Waldock and his M1s and Bradleys did really well.
Did he run M1A1s or M1 IPs or?
He was doing M1A1s, as I recall.
Okay, the 120. Yeah. Okay.
Good. Yeah. So, and then the other thing that he had in there too is he had TOW 2s on his
the Bradleys.
On the Bradleys, and I think he also had them on the I'm trying to remember the Hummers. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that when he was facing off against other forces, he was pretty much able to face anybody's armor. Made his list perform quite strongly. So yeah. So Keith ended up with 26 tournament points. Ryan with 24, and then we had John Cedarberg and Chris Grau that were tied for 3rd place. So strength of schedule ended up giving that to Chris, as I recall,
Chris,
and then to John. So
Chris. That's cool.
Yeah. It was a really fun day. I did post out onto the Team Yankee list out in the land of Facebook a whole bunch of pictures from the tournament, and so there's a number of action shots if people want to kind of see it.
I remember seeing them, but I didn't remember seeing the final results broken down, because otherwise we would have already covered it when we did our recording yesterday.
I'm guilty.
That's okay. But yeah, so it's nice that we try to keep track of what's going on out there and try to pull that stuff in. But sometimes I didn't. To be fair, I didn't send you a note either. Like, hey Tom, why don't you let us know how the things were? I had intended to. I was going to ask you to specifically provide that, but then by the time we got to recording, we're already into it, and it's like, it's too late.
Yeah, things happen.
So, but because we're recording it over multiple days, we're able to get you on a day 2. So I appreciate you sharing the information for that. Sounds like a great event. I'd have loved to have been there. I love seeing those the lists that don't normally make it to the top rungs in a lot of other events. You just don't see challengers just go coming out on top in a lot of just not. It's maybe infantry with some challengers, but not challengers.
Yeah,
as the main effort. So I think you succeeded with what you want to do with that format. And I think we might need to. We haven't done Team Yankee here in a long time, have we, Ed?
No, it's been
like
about
October last year. About a year. Yeah.
Oh wow, you guys are new.
Yeah. We play some in-house games, just some pickup games, but we have not had a Team Yankee tournament since Red October last year. So we went into the winter and then we came out into COVID, and that's pretty much. We really haven't done any tournament since Wolf Crate.
Yeah.
And Masters will be the first one to occur as far as the historical gaming. They've had Kings of War, 40K, Legion. They've been doing those game systems, but the historical stuff has not come back out of the table. And 21st for Masters will be it. So cool. Awesome. Well, anyways, we appreciate it, Tom. Thanks for adding the additional information, and we'll go ahead and take a break and come back with our next segment.
Great. Happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy.
Beat bonus lane. Hard Knocks Games is awesome. You can get board games, trading card games, role-playing games, hobby supplies and tools, Gundam, Warhammer, and more. Find us on Facebook at hardknocksgames.com or visit us on the Dixie Highway.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. And now we're at our favorite part of the podcast, the Heroes of the Hobby. And tonight we're lucky to be joined by Mr. Tom Gall from Rochester area in Minnesota, who is a longtime contributor to No Dice, No Glory, one of our first contributors that we had come up and writers on the site. So it's been great to have him there. And he covers a lot of games, the new the Modern Battle Group game, and which I think is British Army of the Rhine is the current version. Has covered some. I know he does a lot of Armada and a bunch of other game system I followed him on. So it's been a great pleasure to have him here. But we had him here specifically today to talk about Team Yankee Soviets and the Team Yankee Soviet book. And Tom is writing an article for No Dice, No Glory. It's going to join the one that Mitch Reed has posted there now, and another one that Mitch Reed has come out in the future. So Tom has been looking at this very closely. And if you didn't know it, and he didn't know it until I told him, but he's the top-ranked Soviet player in America right now for Team Yankee Soviets. So congratulations on that achievement there, Tom, and welcome.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Ed. Glad to be here.
Yeah, good. Well, you are in a great part of America, at least for Flames of War and other gaming. You have in Rochester D6 Games, and up north you have in Minneapolis what was the name of the store? You just told me a little while ago.
Dreamer's Vault.
Dreamer's Vault, yeah, where my good buddy Chris Grau hangs out. Yeah. So you're lucky to be in an area that has a lot of action, a lot of activity. So what is your perspective on your game scene from the inside? Because from the outside, it looks great. I'm envious.
Yeah, we've got a pretty active scene. We try to have a tournament approximately once or twice a month. So it'll either be down here in the Rochester area or it'll be up in the Twin Cities. For us, it's about an hour drive back and forth, depending on if you live up there or live down there. And we'll pull in, for a Team Yankee tournament, anywhere from about 8 to a dozen people is pretty normal for us. But for like Flames of War, 20 you can have show up, which is pretty fantastic. Things are a little slower nowadays. Just
sure,
obviously because of reasons, but people are still rolling dice and still getting together.
Well, good. Well, let's get into the Team Yankee Soviets book. Ed, you want to start off with some questions there?
Yeah, I had a question about what he normally plays when he plays Soviets, and then compare it to how you're going to want to change with the new equipment coming out.
Yeah, so I guess my most favorite formation that I love to run is a BMP swarm. Yeah. And I would typically mix up BMP 1s and BMP 2s, and of course, depending on how many points you're involved, I mean, it would be, 1, 2, 3 companies of BMPs and then just a little sprinkling of other stuff around it. I love throwing in acacias. just for having 6 guns worth of artillery, because usually when people see that hit the table, they're like, oh, there's that becomes a priority target for them. I have always wanted to love the Storm, but it's like the kid that just doesn't get it.
Yeah, being hit so easily with no armor and only 3 hulls, they don't last long.
Yeah, they don't. Although on the other hand, it does soak up shots. So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it plays a purpose.
But if they kill 1 MBT, they're worth it.
That's true. That's true. You get that lucky die roll.
Yeah. Well, very good. So what is your following Ed's question there? Is your play style going to change now with the new book?
There are definitely some things in the new book that I want to try. So kind of early to mid in my Team Yankee career, I loved playing an Af Nasty list, or the Afghanistani helicopters, and just kind of having, a nice big assault air formation with, usually followed up with either BMPs or tanks on the ground. That was a fun formation to play. Although depending on what you were looking at for AA assets, you'd suddenly go and realize that you were not well matched. But nonetheless, it was a fun one. So anyways, I guess the thing what's drawing me to go back to that and revisit that formation is the adjustment that they made to the Hinds. So that's adding the Spiral 2 missile. So it's got so they bumped up the range a little bit, so it goes out to 24 inches instead of 20, and with an anti-tank at 24, that's pretty compelling.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that they were adding that. I just assumed it'd be the same old Hinds. It's very cool.
Yeah, and the thing is for 14 points you get 4 Hinds with that capability, so that's not a bad deal.
Yeah. Definitely something to. And how many Hinds do you have total in your collection?
Too many. I've got a dozen.
Okay, I have half a dozen, but I'm doing an expansion of 4 here shortly, so cool. I'll be up to 10 here pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's a fun kit to put together.
Yeah, and you have to get the staggered flight stands so that you can get them in close, so that have the high group and the low group, and get them nestled up, because they're big models.
Oh yeah, those things are portly.
Well, that's cool. So what do you think is going to be the meta list though in the Team Yankee Soviet, the new, or will it change at all? I mean, Ed, as you were talking about your BMP force, Ed was of course pointing at me because he knows exactly that's what I run all the time. A lot of BMPs and maybe a handful of tanks to support and some other stuff, but good solid force, and it's pretty fun to run.
It sure is.
I'm not sure with the new tanks though, the T-80s, if I want to start deep diving into those or not.
Well, okay, so I think the T-80 is interesting. The problem is you're just not going to be able to run a lot of them. So unless you got a big point, big point kind of tournament or engagement or anything like that, I think it's going to be hard to justify the cost.
Yeah, but with the starter kit, you get a bunch of them, and I pre-ordered the starter kit. Truth in advertising, I have 26 T-72s or 27 T-72s because I wanted to be able to do the scenarios from the original book. Sure. T-72, so that's what I've been running as far as tanks go, but they've been a minor part of my force. It's been the BMPs that have done the heavy liftings, but I'm considering the T-80s mostly because I have a bunch on order, the starter set. And I imagine a lot of new players are going to get that starter set, which has I think 7 T-80s and 3 or 4 BMP-3s, and has 2 Hinds and 2 Su-25s and 4 of the new plastic BRDM kits. But it's a great deal, great value. But if a new Soviet player is going to start with that, where should they go next?
Yeah, so I think the next things that you build in after that, I mean, I think you got to get infantry. I just don't think you can get along without it, and especially with the new book, we got an upgrade to the RPG-7. the RPG7 VR looks like a really, really powerful piece of kit. I mean, given the 2-up firepower, as I recall, it's not very costly. I think adding that into either a BTR 60 or BMP1, BMP2, BMP3, I just don't think you can go wrong.
Yeah, I didn't realize it could go. I thought it was only the BMP3 troops would be able to get it. So you're saying this will be available to all of the Soviet infantry forces in the new book. They won't have to be the guards, the
shock
BMP, the shock guys. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
shock troops.
Yeah, so like for a BTR 60 motor rifle company, it's just 2 points to replace the 7s to the 7 BRs. Yeah,
and it doesn't matter the size of the company, right? So it's just
correct, because it's replace all.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
definitely worth it.
If you're buying in large, anyways, why not?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that could even
buy
stop
large when you're buying Russians there. So
yeah. And then so that makes their infantry a lot tougher, but they've also brought some pretty good anti-infantry stuff, right? Some big expansions for their ability for the Soviets to deal with infantry.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're referring to the artillery.
Oh yeah, many more options now.
Oh, there are too many options, and I think one of them in particular, and so this is the one that I am. It is going to, I think, be an auto include for a while for me. Is the
thermobaric pressure? Yeah. TOS one.
TOS one is the easier one. I fumble out the rest of the name. The thermobaric, I think, is the
that's
official
correct.
name. Yeah. So 10 points for 3, 20 points for 6 of them. But the thing that I really love about this is for those French players who seem to like go after my hails and things like that. This is not a truck save anymore. This has a frontal armor of 5. It has a top armor of 1. It's at least got a little bit of armor.
Take a hit and a devastating weapon, right? With that,
so it's salvo, it's auto firepower,
it's brutal.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, you're not going to take out any armor with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, this looks pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and another rocket launcher that I was pretty excited about to see was the BM27s to increase. They're much bigger. There were 2 20-millimeter rockets, 220-millimeter rockets compared to the 125s that were in the hails.
Yeah.
And, or 122-millimeter rockets in the hails, but whatever. They're much bigger, and these guys give a minefield capability.
Yeah. Oh, did they add Krasnopol to that, or not Krasnopol, but they've got a
minelets.
Yeah.
Sort of like our fast cam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they come with minelets. It's not an upgrade; it's a standard thing. So
that's huge. Yeah,
yeah, something different, and it's also a bigger rocket. but then, like the hails, truck save, no armor to speak of, so mortars are killing you.
Right. But anti-tank of 4, so if you can bring that down a couple of times, you're at least gonna.
That's right.
Get rid of have a better chance getting rid of transports and stuff.
Definitely.
Granted, as with all of this, you still have that Russian skill of 5.
Yeah. Well,
womp.
But Ed's been schooling me in our ongoing, as we've talked about in this podcast and our last couple ones, our Race to Minsk campaign. He's playing Soviets, and when he needs 5s to range in, I always remind him, 3 rolls, you're likely to get a 5. And we don't really care about the first range. I mean, the first round you range in, that's just to set up for the repeat bombardment for the next turn. so 5+ range in doesn't bug me as much as it used to, because I don't look at it as killing you this turn. I look at it as killing you next turn.
Yeah. And even if it's a 6 and you're hitting terrain, you still got a 50-50 chance on making one of those 3 dice a 6. So
yeah. So do you have a special range in die when you're rolling?
I do.
Yeah,
I got my special red, white, blue dice that I got from Advance the Colors from years ago. They're great.
Cool.
I've been using them since.
Yeah, and with Team Yankee, we've been playing more Flames of War lately. But Team Yankee, you get the observer who actually increases your chances to range in.
Right.
So that will help out. So, of course, probably the first thing that gets killed on the battlefield too.
Priority target.
Yeah. It is too bad that you can't go off of like the commander's skill for calling in, Soviet artillery, because then, like these shocks with, I should say the shock companies with like a 2 skill, that would be a little crazy.
Oh yeah.
That's a good thing about that Soviet starter set. You can, with those 7 T-80s, you can do a shock army right there. You got the commander and 2 platoons. You're ready to go.
And some BMPs and some recon and some air support. Just need the infantry and artillery.
That's right.
Someone to go clear out those buildings. They're very cool. So what do you think about the BMP3?
I really like it. I think I'm going to, unfortunately, with the world of so many new toys and having to spend a little more points here and there and here and there, the question is going to be what's going to end up on the cutting room floor to make room so that I can get BMP3s in, or, these RPG-7 VRs in, and, make a little T-80 action in there too. It's going to be interesting to, just think it all through as far as what's the first thing that you drop. And I'm a little afraid it might be the BMP3 transports, but because the thing is you are going up to a 5 frontal, which is great, but it's a 5 frontal. If something's shooting at it like Milans, it doesn't matter.
105
shoot at them,
yeah. So going up 2 to a 5, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like that's really a big thing. But the thing is you get the Stabber missile that you can fire on the move.
Yeah, that's huge because the other BMPs don't get to shoot on the move.
Right. And the other thing is think about all of the more missions that you play in a tournament that has that first turn where you have, if you're the player going first, where you are treated as moving fire. And that totally invalidates any BMP1 or BMP2 shooting.
Yeah, I've been in that situation more than a few times where I won the first move. I'm like, okay, I'm done. You move. I'll just stay on the ground and wait so I can actually shoot everything.
Yeah, exactly. And so, anyways, I think in many ways the BMP3 kind of breaks you out of that problem, and that is pretty big.
Yeah, I like the look of it. I like that it's more boxy looking than the little TR7, the BMP1 and 2. It makes me think of the TR7 kind of wedge look, and this thing's just a bit more blocky, chunky looking vehicle. And I like the gun tubes, the 100 and the 30 millimeter gun tubes being coaxial. I think that's pretty cool.
Well, and speaking of things that look nice, the other thing too is if you took a look at like the visuals that they have in the book, or on the cards or anything like that, you notice they put the Soviets in camo now instead of just a flat green.
Yeah, especially for the shock troops. And we've all had a chance to review the PDF for the new book coming out, and the shock troops they have in really cool looking camouflage patterns. Definitely digging those. And I might actually emulate that pattern with my new stuff. Everything I have for Soviets to date is just plain green. Big green horde. Whether I run it as Soviets or East Germans or Czechoslovakians or whoever, it's just a big green horde. Even I've run them as Egyptians in the Fate of the Nation. I have a bunch of T-55s, the metal resin T-55s. So again, just plain green. Just use it for whatever I need to. But these T-80s and BMP3s I'm picking up with this new set, they might get a little special treatment, a little bit more of stand out and look good. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, is this their Afghan camo? Is that what they've got? Why they've got them this way, or what?
I'm not sure. They started camouflaging their tanks, I think, back in the mid '90s. Before that, they pretty much just ran everything just straight green. So I don't think it has a lot to do. Maybe it is coincidental with what was going on in Afghanistan. Maybe they started camouflaging vehicles there, and then but at some point they started camouflaging all their kit anyways. So but you're right. That's about the same time it happened. Their earlier times in Afghanistan. So that may have been the impetus for them to go ahead and start adding that on there. Definitely looks better.
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm just trying to do a little Googling here just to see if I can come up with a pattern that might look like what they did on the cards.
Yeah, I like to watch the tank challenge things they have on. You see them on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
the crews from like China and Russia and Kazakhstan and all the stands, and it's kind of like Ultimate Warrior, but they run around with tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do jumps and shooting and drag racing.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, but you see a bunch of different cool camouflage paint jobs in that show too. So pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different kind of more of a there's kind of a tannish, greenish, another color green. It definitely has some sort of a Mideast kind of or Afghanistan, as Ed noted, kind of a look to it. It doesn't really look like Central Europe, does it?
It's like a Syrian paint job almost.
Yeah, I see where you get that. It definitely has a sandy kind of look to it. So
right.
Really cool. I think they're good-looking vehicles. So what about the Tunguska, the new anti-aircraft support item or vehicle?
I'm going to pick up some of those, but at first blush, I'm a little less than excited about them. Just because they're still 5 firepower.
Oh, for the missile?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, yeah. I like the idea of what it's got, kind of that dual roll and all that kind of good stuff. But the thing that's got to dislodge in my mind, and it hasn't quite yet, is it going to be better than kind of fielding some Shilkas and Gophers?
Yeah, Ed and I were talking about that before we recorded, and it gets to the point where this is a really cool piece of kit, but I could just add some more SA7 Grail platoon or stands, and I could add and some SA9 Gophers. There's I can get a lot of stuff pretty cheap. As opposed to it was the SA13s you're asking about, Ed, and because I have them, I never run them, and the reason I never run the SA13s is because I can get so much other stuff that's cheap, and I think this is going to be the same case here.
Yeah, well, I like the Tunguskas. I'm trying to get back to that page here. It's page 28.
Yeah. They're 8 points. So, I mean, they're 8 points for 4 of them, which makes them, puts them kind of in that pricey category. I mean, that's double the price of a Shilka.
Pricey for Soviets.
Well, yeah, that's true. Sorry. Sorry, Allied NATO players. Not sorry. But the thing is, I mean, for those same 8 points, you could get 4 Shilkas and 4 Gophers, as I recall. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's a lot more survivability, but it is a cool looking model.
It is.
Yeah, I'm surprised they gave it a 5+ with a 30 millimeter gun. Yeah, that should be.
Well, that's standard for what they've done. The Gepards are 5+.
No, the
Gepards are 4.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, then they okay.
They're 35 millimeters, so slightly bigger.
So then I guess that is a kind of a bad rap for the Soviets on that one, because that's a pretty stout 30 millimeter cannon.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing that you do get out of something like that too is that compressed into one model, you have both a really long range AA capability as well as a sort of shorter range AA capability that then you can also use for ground targets.
So if you shoot anti-aircraft in the enemy's turn, that precludes you from shooting that weapon system in your turn. Could this thing fire its missiles at the enemy in the enemy turn and then turn around and shoot its guns in its turn? Would that be kosher?
That's my understanding, but if I recall, all right. I mean, didn't the field manual just kind of? I thought they just came up with an update, and
they did, but I haven't really read it yet.
Okay. I see you paid as much attention to it as I did. I mean, I was like, great, this is out. I'll look at it after the tournament this weekend, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, I know that you can't use the same weapon system, but I know that this would be considered a different weapon system. The guns versus the missiles. Because I think we've done that with that you can use the guided missiles against helicopters in the enemy turn. No, you can only use that in your turn.
Right. Yeah. If you're using anti-helicopter, you only get to do that.
Only in your turn, right, for the guided one. So it wouldn't apply to them.
But I mean, this is how different is this from like shooting, say, your AA machine gun in the enemy turn, and then a main gun on a tank,
right?
You know,
right.
I think that's the same.
So that's one thing that may give it a bit more of an advantage. If that is legit for it to do that, then it's not sitting totally idle in one of the phases because it shot in the previous one. It can kind of rock back and forth between the two weapon systems. Hopefully, that'd be a good thing for them. How about the T-55? Any interest in that, or is that just too little, too late for, or too much, too late with 30-some tanks being added to your force?
You know, when I first heard that they were adding the T-55 to the Soviets, this is like, oh well, it's just going to be a retread, something warmed over what the East Germans already had. I really didn't anticipate any desire to have it, but then it's got a Stabber missile.
Yeah.
You can't fire it on the move, but maybe who cares? And just in general, it's you've got a laser rangefinder on the gun. It's a better T-55, and
it's not much more expensive, is it?
No. And at the points, it's pretty good for a low cost tank.
Yeah,
2 points. Like that,
I mean, it's better than a BMP, but it doesn't have the infantry.
Yes,
you can get like 5 of those for like 7 points or something like that.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. I think people that have a lot of the T-55 kits are going to be pretty happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just
don't know. And here they come, bunch of T-55s.
Yeah. Well, I wonder. I haven't looked on Battlefront's page for Team Yankee, but do you think they're going to do a different kit for the T-55 AM?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I mean, they do have a plastic kit now, right?
Yeah, that's right. They do.
Yeah, so I don't think they would have retooled it or done anything. Perhaps there could be some different bits that they put on there. A sprue of the new soft resin, whatever combination. I'm not so sure. I'm looking at the pictures of it, and it has a different kind of a sight and a laser rangefinder on top of the gun barrel. I think that looks a little bit different, doesn't it? And the image that they have on page 38.
Yeah, it sure does, doesn't it?
Yeah, so those might be aftermarket bits that come for the plastic kit, or maybe the resin.
You know what? Looking at the upcoming releases, they are going to release a specific box for it. It says T-55 AM Tank Company Plastic TSB X22, so it is different.
Okay, so it's a whole new sprue.
Yeah.
Wow.
It looks like they did something different. Well, and I wonder if it can be used for both models too.
Well, I'm pretty flexible with the interpretation of Soviet vehicles.
Aren't we all?
My T-72s may have been used as T-64s on occasion. Just saying.
Oh, shame.
Hey, green tank's a green tank, but at least for the modern ones. But I have 15 of these T-50, but I have the original Pavin Vietnam era T-55s that Battlefront did for the Vietnam game. And
nice.
But they weigh a ton, all metal and resin.
Yeah, but they're good. They're solid.
They don't have all the.
They're not sliding off the hill.
I don't know that I can bring myself to add more T. Like I said, I've already got a ton of T-72s, and we'll now have some T-80s and some of the newer kit. So I don't know if I can go backwards in the tank progression at the same time I go forward. So it just seems like it's a lot of painting green tanks, and then it becomes a storage issue at some point. Where am I going to keep all these things?
Right.
So Battlefront probably hates hearing that. Like, no, go ahead, Tom, buy 31 T-55s.
I know you really want to.
Of course I do, but then I have to assemble them, and I have to paint them, and I have to store them. I'm like, if I run T-55s, I'll break out the Vietnamese ones.
Hey, we got Vietnamese in Europe. Wait a minute.
I think they've been played as Egyptian T-55s more than they've been played as. In fact, I don't think I've ever played with them as Vietnamese T-55s. They've always been played as something else.
You got to amortize out the cost, so
Yeah, they did. It was good to see him at it, though. I know for some players that'll be particularly exciting, but I just like that they went the extra step to do a specific kit for it. And,
Yes.
And give it that unique look. So it's definitely a model I would consider getting just for the modeling opportunity. But they're so cheap, you'd have to be doing like 30 of them. So.
Yeah, and the one thing that they did, which is I think a little different on the formation. So you've got the core, black box, T-55 AMs and things like that.
Right.
But then you get into the infantry component that you can add in, as well as the recon component. There's no BMP2s, there's no BMP3s. So they'd have to be outside of the core formation. There, as far as recon are concerned, you can't do a BMP3 either. Even on the anti-aircraft, you can't do the Tunguska either. So, they really modeled the formation on this is a third line, unit.
The category system. This would be a category 3. That's what the Soviets used to use back in the day. Category 1 was your guards, your front line, ready to go, main effort. And the category 2 was the next wave. Then you had category 3 where like drum up the reserves and the older kit. So it's good they did that. They kind of in its space there.
Get the old BTR 60s out there.
Yeah, I'd like to do some more of those. I guess I'll go with the Tom's route here. I'll go with the Afghancy though, and just do the infantry because I don't want to paint a bunch of BTR 60s.
Sure you do.
I guess you drive around and use them for mobile terrain. Catch on fire and block line of sight.
Hide behind the smoke.
Right. The rolling smoke screen. No, very, very cool. So have you figured out your best list, assuming I don't know what the point levels are going to be for next year. It was 120 this past year, right? And, we are into a new Team Yankee season, so I don't know if 120 is still the standard, but do you have like a standard 100-point list or a standard 120-point list you're looking at now, Tom?
So it's forming, and I won't say this is solid. I'm looking at it from the perspective of okay, what's going to be the core stuff, and then what am I going to switch in and switch out for options. So I'm still going to try to keep to a BMP formation. I still really like that. I think that's still got legs. Adding in the BMP3 is going to be the way to go, and of course the 7 VRs. So I would like to aim for something that's about 25 points, so that one of those companies can be the reinforcements coming on. So it's just one die roll, they're just there. Right. I kind of like that concept. So I think for me it would be some number of the medium-sized BMP company, and then throw in the 7 VRs. So that's going to get you to 24 points. And then after that, it's, do you add in, the grenade launchers? Do you add in the gremlins and stuff like that? And so again, I think that's, again, season to taste based on what you're seeing for
gremlins. Yes. Always take the gremlins.
Well, you should, but again, if you're having to bum points, got to cut somewhere.
Yeah. I love having those infantry anti-aircraft missiles because people always forget about them. They're they're looking for the models and they're like, oh no, I'm going to do shots from over here.
Oh no.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that. So that's, that's going to be somewhere between, 50 and 75 points worth of stuff. I'm definitely absolutely sinking in 10 points for the TOS ones. And if I can even fit 20 points worth to get 6 models and all the bennies from having that many pieces of artillery, I am totally going there.
Oh, I don't know, man. That's 20 points. Ooh, that's
a lot, but you know what? I think it's worth it.
I like smoke, and so I would be. I have a hard time. I like multiple Soviet artillery forces, but I like that smoke. And Ed knows my number one tactic is to just smoke the front of him and just rush everything up in his face and jump on him.
Yeah. No, he's 1 inch away.
Yeah. So the TOS I like because of his capabilities, but it doesn't give you that smoke option.
No, it doesn't. And maybe that's the reason it still keeps some acacias around or some or carnations or whatnot.
I mean, it'd be great to have the first opening volley of that, talk about melting infantry. Holy cow. And I'm not exactly sure when they see thermobaric. I think it's a fuel air explosive. I think it's one of those things where they inject the fuel into like a mist around the missile and then ignite it, and it just becomes a big overpressurization bomb and just
our
shockwave.
Our mutual friend Chris Grau, that's how he was explaining it to us at the last tournament. So it sounds like a heck of a scary weapon going off.
Yeah, I remember reading an account from World War II of a what was it, 761st Armor, the Black Panthers, the African American unit.
16.
Oh, 761st. I thought it was 761st, but anyways, it's one of their vehicles was found just stationary, and what had happened was every crewman on board was dead. All 5 crewmen were dead on this thing, but there was no damage to the vehicle, and there was no it wasn't a fire on the inside, wasn't any problem with anybody, any traumatic action they could determine, but it was overpressurization because they had their hatches open, and apparently a shell burst in the air in their vicinity, and the pressure alone killed everybody inside that Sherman tank because the hatches were open. So pretty gruesome stuff. Just kind of explode all your cells. Wouldn't be fun. Would not be fun. So what about air? You're going to keep any of your Hinds in that force, or is that going to?
I think to start, I'm going to keep the Hinds parked. Keep the frog feet on the ground for now. Go without any air, but I am going to bring, I think, unit of Shilkas, and I think I'm going to bring a unit of Gophers along. So that'll be about 8 points. At least in our local meta, it's not surprising to see Harriers. It's not surprising to see tornadoes, and tornadoes especially, and Harriers for what they can do.
Right, you can't let them run free.
Yeah, you got to get after them. So to me, that's worth the points to take out. And then I think then with the remainder of the points, I think I might be trying out some T-55 AMs.
Yeah, you can squeeze a couple tanks in cheap, and they're capable now with that AT-20. Why not?
Yeah.
They're contenders. I'm thinking about maybe sneaking in some BMP-3s as reconnaissance. I typically don't run BMPs as recon lately. I typically have just take the BRDMs for my recon force. That's been more than sufficient, and I really don't care about them after the game starts. Just using the spearhead, and then after that, hopefully they can run away or maybe drive around and hose some trucks or something. I don't know. Just I don't count them to do too much after the first incident, but I kind of like the idea of having a handful of BMP-3s in those small recon units so they can use that missile on the move.
Yeah.
And, keep a little bit more flexibility. They won't last long. I mean, the 3 tanks that are hit on 3s, they're not gonna with flimsy armor, they're not gonna stick around. Well, armor 5, so it'll help with the machine guns and the 20 millimeter, like the guns on the Bradley and the some of these things on some of the new American set. Which got it.
You can get 3 of those for 9 points. So that's 9 points. So you can, do you want to get 5 T-55Ms for 7 points?
Yeah, I go T-55s.
Yeah. So I really like your philosophy with regards to the BRDM2s, just because they're so cheap.
Yeah, and they're plastic now.
Well, that too, and then just having a little bit of recon so that you can deploy forward, and I think that's invaluable.
I've got 4 models, and I'll normally take the unit of 2 and a unit of 2, so you go in different directions. Of course, and back in the old days, we could spearhead off a spearhead, so
not anymore.
That's gone. So rightly so. I'm got to say it's pretty devastating sometimes, but even without that, it's amazing. You spearhead just with the BRDMs, and then you get the first move, and then those BMPs they dash like 20 some plus inches. So you can really just saturate in some of these like contact or some of these other missions that have an objective hanging out in the free zone. You can really swarm it pretty quick, and as Ed has found out a few times.
Yes.
Oh, you have to defend that objective out there in that open space? Well, let me just put this giant bubble around it instantly.
And before I get a chance to move, they're there.
And the other thing to look at too is the BMP3 does have the stabilizer role as well.
Yeah.
That's something not to forget.
Yeah, but 9 points for 3. That's
yeah.
For Soviets, that's a huge cost.
Yeah.
The Dado players are like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Wait a minute, I'm used to having like 2 points for a unit of 3 AT-21 Spandrel. We're used to the super bargain basement stuff here. But now they're definitely increasing the cost. The T-80s, the BMP-3s, and we're getting the higher tech, the TOS ones. So Soviet players have been screaming for it. Now they're getting it, but I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that my play style will change a lot. I'm glad to see these options.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, do you guys think that maybe for this season they would up the points to like 150 and try to do that just to encourage people to play like MBTs?
Oh, it scares me. It scares me because yes, I would like to see more MBTs. I get where you're going with it, but at the same time, there'll be people who will bring in multiple formations of T-55s.
They're going to test that how many formation limit that a tournament brings. So like 3, I can't do 3, I need 7.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
I thought it was crazy when they went to 120 points just for time it takes to complete the games. And we were just commenting a while back. You all, well, I guess we'll get into your tournament here in a minute. But Indianapolis, they ran a 78-point Flames of War event recently. Kind of an odd number, and it was also a low number. But they're like, hey, we want to do something where the players could finish, especially the new players that could get through a game and get a conclusion. And so I kind of more enjoy the hard choice, lower point level lines. And maybe that's because we as Soviet players, we still have even with low points, we still have a lot of different things we can bring to bear.
Yeah. Well, and at least around here, and can't say that it was elsewhere. I mean, certainly they did it at the Masters, but they had 3 different point levels, for lists to bring to a tournament. So, doing something like a 65, 75, 85, or something along those lines that you kind of get that
20,
yeah. It encourages people to change up their lists. Sure, when you're at those lower point values, your game's going to go a lot faster. I think how you approach how you build things is different than what you do when you got 100 points to spend and you can bring the kitchen sink.
Indeed. And so you guys, you just got clobbered by snow, didn't you?
Yeah, we've had some snowstorms roll through here. I mean, it wasn't so bad because I'm in southern Minnesota. Up in the Twin Cities, they were rocking with 5 inches or 7 inches, something along those lines. It's kind of crazy.
There.
Yeah, I saw Patrick Barkaloo's post today, and I'm like, dang, that looks like January for us.
Yeah, but we're supposed to have 50 by this weekend, so it's not all bad.
Well, cool. All right, well, we appreciate the time, Tom. Ed, you got any other questions?
No, that was good. I got the answers I needed from the expert there.
Yeah, he's not going to be playing Soviets. He just needs to know how to defend against them.
Thing. I wanted to hear what you guys were planning on. And if you're planning on not taking aircraft, my whole force is almost centered on anti-aircraft.
Well, you heard me say I'm going to be upping my Hind count to 10, and my SC-25 count is going to go up to a full unit of 6. So,
just remember, Soviet intel tell you no aircraft. Guess what? Half nasty come and visit you.
Yeah, that'll be good. Well, cool. Well, Tom, thanks for all you do. For your contributions at No Dice, No Glory. And I was really glad I got a chance to see you at Masters back in the spring when you came down and to Indianapolis for that. And hopefully you'll be there next year. And hopefully you'll maintain your top Soviet ranking for a while. But go check it out. Take a picture. It's on Battle Rankings right now.
Got to. Thanks, guys. Delighted to be here. Thanks for putting all this together, and thanks for all the work that you do in your podcast.
All right, thank you.
Target. Ceasefire.
All right, in this Race to Minsk campaign that Tom and I started last month, again, really excited about playing that. And we just having a hard time finding time to meet back up and continue. But we have gotten through 3 games so far. Our first engagement in the start of Operation Bagration, the Russians attacked the Germans there, and in my attack, I bombed right off the bat, and I bombed terribly. Tom's German force just totally waxed me, so my offenses went off with a bad start, and as a result, instead of going straight to the second scenario, what you can do is actually play a side scenario in between each main scenario. So we chose to go with the side scenario, and we did a shuffle and pick. And Tom picked the card called the Pocket, which is a scenario. The mission on this was a bridgehead. And so, after figuring our forces out and realigning and making some changes, it looks like the best choice is to make a choice of either going to armor or infantry in your choices for a campaign, because once you complete a particular battle, if you get an award for your leader every scenario, so you get an award, and you also you get an ability for each main scenario. And so if you stick with the same type with each scenario, you're going to get more abilities special for that particular type, so either infantry or armor. So to get to the higher ones, it takes time to get to them. So you want to keep the same each time.
And basically, for those who have not been tracking from our last podcast, you're playing Soviet tank-based forces, and I've been playing SS infantry-based forces.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Yes. Okay. So in the Pocket scenario, the bridge scenario is what bridgehead mission. And so Tom sets up in his defense, and with an advice from a German trader that I captured in between the battles there, found out there was a weakness, a slight chance for a potential outflanking of the setup for the German forces by sneaking through the woods on the far side of in this case my left flank on the battlefield. By sneaking through the woods, if I could sneak my recon force through the woods, then I'd be able to actually form a bubble on the far flank, the right-hand flank of the German force there in the bridgehead, and then be able to sneak into his side with relatively good cover for my forces in the process and just sweep them from that flank. And that's exactly what I did. Yeah. Thank you, German trader.
Yeah. So what Ed's referring to is that he was going to try to do something less useful with his BA-64s. Yes. He could not come down the left flank. It was not ideal, my left flank. He wanted to come down the right flank, and so he was just going to have his BA-64s just run around the middle of the board and just shoot machine guns, or not really using the recon ability. And I was like, because with the bridgehead, you can use spearhead so long as you stay within, I think, 4 inches of the board edge, the left or right edge. And so, but there was a problem on the side that he wanted to go. There was a giant group. There was a set of woods that was more than 4 inches across that tied right into the flank. So I said, hey, Ed, why don't you just push those BA-64s through the woods? Sure, they got crappy cross ratings, but the 5+, but he has 5 of them. One of them's likely to make it, and if he does, then he creates an 8-inch bubble on the other side of the woods.
I mean, all the chances of them crossing, 5. And so you said, well, maybe one will get through. 4 out of 5 end up making the cross check. So that lucky day.
So it was pretty good. So he got in a position where he was able to avoid my pack front 88s and come in from my right side and kind of work his way in from the right to the center and clear out an objective. So good victory on that one. I think maybe destroyed a platoon or 2 platoons. I think maybe that was a 7-2 or something. If I remember.
7-2. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. And then, so that was our side mission, but then we went into the round 2 of the real missions.
Yeah. And sadly, okay. The episode, they call it episode 2. Okay. We entered the second phase there of the operation. because I lost the previous mission, I had to choose this episode, and it was called this episode, and it was called A Strong Position. A Strong Position. In this case, if we had the new German book out, we would have played a scenario or a mission in there called Hammering the Line. But since we don't have that yet, the other option was to use the no retreat scenario. So we had a no retreat. And again, that's the same scenario I had initially with the first one. And so, joy there. And Tom had the same force there, did not change it. And so I took a look at this and I said, okay, I'm going to have to make this thing quick, because he had chosen to have his Panthers in reserve. So I figured I got to make it by turn 3 and hope with that small chance that he might get his reserves on 2 and 3. If I can get there and get on the objective, I should make it. Well, I did that. So he had the objective deep in the objective area near the rear of the board. The other one was on a little closer to me on my right-hand flank, but it was so highly protected by the infantry, and all the packs could focus their fire on it. So I just figured, yeah.
And my mines, all my mines were up there.
Yes, and this is where you learned a lesson on the minefield, I think. Yes, I'm pretty sure that was the mission you and I played that came up. But being able to cut off a flank or a side of the board that forces them for a narrow entry, that would have been good. And so anyway, so he sets up his minefields, and I end up shooting right down the middle with everything. Everything just charged down in there. Even the BAs were doing the flank security as I ran down the center, just spraying everything with machine guns. And in this case, I had the flamethrower tanks. And so charging down the middle, the infantry caused me a little delay, but enough to stop my maximum movement, which ended up resulting in turn 3. I was just short by about half an inch of the back objective. And so turn 3 happened. So I have to go to now turn 4. And turn 3, he did not get his reinforcement Panthers. So now it goes to turn 4. Turn 4, he's got 2 dice. And sure enough, that 1 dice rolls it. And he is on the board. And I'm sitting on the objective with flame tanks and T-34-85s. So his 5 Panthers come on, plop up on that back hill within 4 inches of the objective. So he's contesting, and he proceeds to fire 5 shots with 5 beautiful hits and totally tearing up everything that was close enough to the objective, forcing me into another turn and another turn of death. So I had mounds of smoke close to the objective, and even the BAs tried to sneak in there and go, "Oh, he's not going to want to shoot at this. I still got targets down there." Oh no, Panthers took him out too. No mercy.
No, you were there, and also you used one of your special cards that messed up my reserve rolls. So that was pretty good to make the Panthers wait. You kept them off the board as long as possible.
Yeah, your dice brought them in at the perfect time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, if you're rolling 2, getting 1-5 is not unreasonable. But yeah, no, it was basically I just slowed you down just enough. Nickel, you flamed the crap out of my my Pack 40s, and my, you even flamed one of my Pack Nest.
3 of them. I knocked them out. 3 of them by turn 2. So leaving that whole center thing down, and only the far left hand 88 that was pinned and couldn't unpin. But that it was getting its 1 shot off, and sure enough, it would kill something every time.
The nickel and dime, and then the Pack 40s ambushed on that hill on my left, and so they gave some long range fires. They didn't they lasted a little bit longer, but they got whittled down pretty quick. They were my ambush unit. Once they appeared, they started taking some bow. So yes, there was just enough of on your T-34-85 hero units, just enough nickel and diamond to knock one tank off here or there. So that when I got to the to the ambush and got to the reserves, then there was just enough for them to come in. So I was sweating bullets on that one. I thought you had won it. You'd come on so strong in the first couple turns and destroyed so much. But the last turn or two before you got on the objective, I don't think it was as early as turn 3. I think it might have been more like 4. But
on turn 4. I was half a minute short on turn 3.
Yeah, my infantry were just hanging in there just enough. And even with those scary flamethrowers coming at them, if you're concealed and gone to ground, those flamethrowers have that additional minus to hit when they move. So it makes you need like a 6 to hit them so long as I stay gone to ground in concealment. So the flamethrowers weren't as effective against the infantry as they were the guns. And those infantry, you assaulted them too, but the infantry would just fall back and then dig in again and fall back and dig in again. So that kind of I think there's only like 3 teams left in that whole platoon, but it was just enough to hold you up in place until the Panthers showed up and then had an awesome, devastating volley. So the race to Minsk has been cool. We really should be about game 5 by now, but we've had a little bit of slowdown with work, and I had a trip to go to North Carolina to help my daughter move into an apartment, so that knocked out a long weekend. And Veterans Day weekend, unfortunately, Columbus Day weekend, and then I'm going to miss Veterans Day weekend too. So by the time we get to the next podcast, we may be done with this race to Minsk, but maybe not. We still may have to wait till December to hear the 8th game and the conclusion. Cool. Well, that brings us into our rules Ed forgot, which happened in one of these race to Minsk games. I think it was our second game when you flanked me really hard, the side mission where you did the heavy flank move through the woods. So what happened was Ed was trying to range in his mortars, as any good Soviet hero tank formation is going to have its mortars. He also had Su-122s, and he bought a BA-64 Observer OP. And because I was in the assumption that you buy the BA-64 OP with the 122s, which is what you do. But my assumption then was that that's the only unit they spot it for, which is not true. In fact, they can spot for every single unit in the game. Of course, Ed was kicking my butt pretty bad in that game anyways. Didn't really hurt him. They still rolled me pretty well. But yeah, so when you buy those observers, you can use them to spot for British heavy machine gunners, the Vickers firing a bombardment, because that's quote an artillery unit, I guess. So they can, any of those things, or the mortars or et cetera. So a little bit more versatile than I thought. I found out about that when I was listening to the one of the battlerankings.com's Facebook sessions. And they were talking about like, oh, wait a minute, I got that wrong on my last game. So apologies, Ed. I screwed that one up, and now I know for future reference that, they can just go ahead and spot for any old artillery unit.
Yeah, it ended up not mattering anyway because I was getting lucky with the ranging in with my mortars, even with the 5+ and firing into terrain. I needed a 6. I kept on getting it. The problem is when I would hit you, you would either survive or I would fail the fire.
Well, needing a 5 to range in when you have 3 chances is not that horrible. It just means that the first round that you range in, and maybe the second or third attempt.
Right.
So that's not really that devastating. Of course, we have occasionally those times where we go turn after turn and they never range in. But odds are you'll range in on your, in the first turn that you try to range in. It's just the question will be first, second, or third attempt. Right. And since the real killing comes on the repeat bombardment, you're not as worried about the first range in so long as it happens. So anyway, so it didn't hurt you too badly, and you still won a well-deserved victory. All right, well, let's talk about what's coming up here in the future. We have some tournaments we know about, and we're going to get a little bit details about the last one. Ed, what's going on in November?
Okay, the November, we've got 2 that we know about. So we got another one at Newark, Ohio.
Yeah.
Game Table Adventures. They're going to do a mid-war 110 pointer. So that ought to be a shoot 'em up. That's a lot of points, and if you're playing Italians, man, you can bring a whole lot on.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. I wonder how many Italians he ends up having. Let's see.
maybe if as long as the COVID situation is not all crazy, because things have been getting worse lately, maybe we could consider trying to shoot up for that one. I mean, it would be like an overnighter.
It would probably be.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. But it would be fun. I agree. I haven't played Mid-War for a bit, and 110 points. I'd love to get all of my my Crusaders on the board.
Well, when you were gone, my buddy that's up here for a course at Fort Knox, John Pertle, he brought his mid-war German force, and so that gave me the opportunity to play my U.S. armor that I'd never had to play for my North Africa force. Mm-hmm. So that made me happy, and actually I beat them, but it was a surprise because I didn't think they were going to do very good. Because, they're all green and 5+ for that skill and all that. So I just happened to get lucky.
Yeah. All right. Well, so what else is happening here in the near future?
Okay. On the 19th and 20th, the Flames of War Master Tournament is going to be right here at Fort Knox / Elizabethtown at Hard Knocks Games. And so that's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah,
It's going to be a late war 100-point +5 -5. So what do you mean by that, Tom? What is that? What 5 points for cards or what?
So Brian Coaches came up with a concept, and he's actually going to travel here to be the tournament organizer referee for this extravaganza. And so what happens is you start off with a 100-point list, but there's 6 rounds, 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. And if you lose your round in the first round, you get to add 5 points to the next game. So you'll be playing 105 points in round 2. If you win round 1, then you have to subtract 5 points. So the winners from round 1 will go to round 2 with 95 points, and their opponents will go to 110. And of course, draws count as a loss. So you'll also get 5 points added more of the draw. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes, because you're going to have, it's a 100-point to start with, but few people will be playing 100 points after we get going. You effectively, I think, have to have 9 different lists figured out, right? The first one, and then you have to be able to go down 3 and up 3. So
how many rounds in the tournament, Tom? How many rounds are there?
6, 3 on Saturday and 3 on Sunday. So potentially, if you win your first 5 rounds and go into the last round, you're going to be short 25 points. So you'd be playing 75 points in the last round. So it'd be kind of like applying a handicap as you go along. So it'd be kind of interesting. I predict that we're going to have a lot of super close scores in this event. I think that there's going to be a big old pack, and very few are going to, go out with like 5 or 6 wins. I think it's going to be a lot closer than that. So they're going to have a pretty good method for determining how the final standings go. So interesting format. We'll see how this works. If it does work well, then it'd be kind of cool to maybe try elsewhere. But it's definitely different, and that's what they try to do at Masters. They try to get some sort of very different thing going. And other than that, it's just late war open. So and I think they're going to make it a requirement that the support and the formations have to be from the same book, unlike some of the lists we talked about earlier in the past events, where people were using took a unit out of Fortress Europe, but then use support out of one of the D-Day books. So that may not be an option here at this event. So let's run down the roster of those who are attending. And so these are technically almost the top 18 players in the United States of America right now. This came off battle rankings with the standings as of October 1st. And the first guy they had was James Best Jr. And second off, Chris Jackson. Third, our buddy from Georgia, Aaron Macheski Preston. Fourth, from Minneapolis area, John Cedarberg. Fifth, from the Pittsburgh area, Tom McClelland. Sixth, from Indianapolis, Able Company, Joe Lewis. Seventh, also from Minneapolis area, Keith Gilmore. Eighth, Michael Cran, who I believe is also from the Minneapolis area. 9, Christian Sorensen, who I think is from California. Not 100% sure about that. So he's one of the few guys coming out maybe from the West Coast.
Christian, I thought he was from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I just said Tim McClellan's from Pittsburgh.
No, I'm talking about Christian Sorensen.
Maybe I thought he was from California, but I'll find out, I guess, on that weekend. Then we got Chris Fretz at 10th coming from Indianapolis. David Vieger, 11th. I think he's from Wisconsin. He's up there from somewhere out that area. But anyways, he's apparently committed to coming down. Number 12, William White, we've talked about a few times in this podcast, running his Churchills, and he's been doing very well out there on the Eastern Seaboard, in the Virginia area. So glad to see him coming out. Never met him, so looking forward to seeing him. James Best Sr., also coming from the Virginia area. So we have one father-son team again. Vincent Arroyo, who I believe was from Texas. He won the Las Vegas Open, if you recall. We interviewed him earlier this year.
You skipped number 14, John Meyer.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, John. John Meyer. Yeah, our good buddy in Ohio. Who's Team Yankee list we were discussing earlier in this podcast.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So he'll be there. Vincent Arroyo, I already just now covered. He was our first Heroes of the Hobby interview we did, if you recall. Back in January after he won the Las Vegas Open. Nathan Cran, who's related to Michael Cran again. Team. I guess brothers or father and son. I'm not sure, but they're coming from Minneapolis. And then some schmuck named Tom Burgess traveling excruciatingly long distance from Elizabethtown, Kentucky to Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And then in the last slot to the last one with a dance card was Andrew Hobson from
Look at that. That's good.
Yeah, so I squeaked in. I actually ended up being 19th overall in the standings after October 1st, so I got kind of bumped out, but I guess some of the folks that were ranked higher than me in the out west, and then also they usually invite the Canadian top player too. They declined to attend. So whoever it was who bailed, thank you, because that allowed me to slide into the 17th slot. So looking forward to it. Have no idea what I'm going to run yet. We'll have to maybe do some play testing. I don't have a lot of time really to get ready for this. Heck, it's like 3 weeks away now.
I know it.
So it'll be interesting, and I think you're going to be out of town that weekend, Ed. I think you had already planned.
I think I committed already for that time period. Yeah, I'm going to be heading home.
Yeah, so it'll be good. We're looking forward to that, and then that will take us into December. And what do we have in December, Ed, that you might be attending?
Let me go back up to that. In December, this is one that I'm wanting to go to myself. I've been to several of their tournaments, and it's really good, and the store's got a lot of good choices there as well. So if you like buying stuff, they have a lot of good choices there to choose from, and a good lot of items. Older ones, too, which is what I like. Okay, so this is Skoda Fest, called Skoda Fest. It's located in Greenville, South Carolina. We see a lot of the Atlanta people, South Carolina, North Carolina people. We actually had some people from West Virginia come down and play in the last tournament. I went there. Let's see. So it's going to be Skoda Fest, 100 points, and I think he's going to do something with cards, so up to 5 points of cards. I think I need to look at the details on that, but it's now scheduled for 10 December. It was originally scheduled for the same time period we were having the Masters thing, and so they changed the date, so it's now 10 December. So if you were planning to go in November before, that has changed.
Yeah, okay. I'm not familiar with the area. You said Greenville, but they had on Facebook was Taylor's. Is that like a suburb or something of Greenville?
It
Taylor's?
is.
Okay, yeah, and then they said it was going to be in the Skoda Karate Academy, I guess is the venue hall.
The first time I went down there, he had that karate academy. He runs a karate school, right?
Uh-huh.
And so they were having it actually at the old store location. That's another thing I need to verify. But he said the karate academy, so I looked it up on my MapQuest or whatever that thing's called, the navigation, GPS, whatever. And so I looked it up. I can't think right now. Anyway, so I looked it up on there. And so it's pouring down rain when I get there. And I get there like with 5 minutes to spare. And I go in there. And as I'm walking in there, all these little kids are looking at me, like, a new target. I thought, holy shit, these kids are going to kick my ass.
Well, that'd be funny.
And so I go, where's the tournament? I'm in the wrong spot.
Nice.
And so I call him up. I go, hey, help me out here. These kids are around here getting ready to kick my ass. I think I'm in the wrong spot. And so I call him up. Yeah, it's at the old school, not the old school, but the old store location. And so I went down there. So it's one of the things we'll need to verify.
Yeah, please do. So if you go to the Flames of War website, to the forum, then Robert Beaucamp has a single post saying, here's the link to Facebook with the information, and I will not be monitoring this thread. So I guess if you got a question, you can't really ask it there unless you have his, hopefully you have his email. You can call him or do whatever. And if you don't have Facebook, I guess you don't get the info.
You can always try that Karate Academy. I wouldn't suggest it though.
Yeah, call the Karate Academy and ask for information about the event. Yeah, that'd be good. So, anyways, we'll see how that works out. Hopefully, you'll get a chance to go, and hopefully, the situation will be better then. So good. Yeah. Well, that's a good amount of stuff, Ed. I think that'll do us well for our October spectacular here. And I guess as we move out, right now, the situation with the COVID seems to be going in the wrong direction. I guess the good news is less percentage of people are dying. I guess we're getting better at dealing and treating with it. But the bad news is that the numbers are on the increase, both in the U.S., Italy, and Spain. So, in fact, our organization is all teleworking again. So nobody at our office. We're all working out of our basements and dining rooms and whatnot. So everybody out there, be safe when you go into these events. Certainly mask up. Hope you still get to enjoy them, but I think a little extra layer of precaution is justified here in the short term. And then next time we talk to you, it'll probably be, I guess we'll have to record before Thanksgiving. I think, but then again, are we traveling? You're traveling for Thanksgiving. So
I'm traveling, but I may abbreviate my traveling because of the COVID situation. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see. And we may stick around here, but we may have to record before Thanksgiving. But by the time you get our next recording, it'll probably be after Thanksgiving by the time it's posted. So into November. So anyways, everybody out there, be safe, take care, be extra precautious, and please let us know what you'd like us to cover, what you'd like us to talk about. We get remarkably little input. So, I know people listen. We get a little high five every now and then, but we don't usually get questions or areas that people like to have covered. We're happy to go into wherever you want to help steer this ship. So if you got any ideas or suggestions for segments, and or if you just want to come in and be part of the show, just let us know. If you got something you think you're a subject matter expert on, we'll love to get you. Oh, yeah, and that's another thing I was going to mention too on the Masters breakdown. Out of those 18 players, 6 of them we have done interviews of for this show. So pretty good. And one of them is me, who you hear every episode of the show. So we're doing a pretty good job with the Flames of War Masters coverage in this podcast. So maybe we'll eventually run them all down. But in any case, be safe. And Ed, you take care too. You want to close us out here?
Yes. Everybody be safe. Party on, have a good time with the game. Just do it safely. We want to keep our audience. We want to keep you guys part of the group here too. So game is fun, but be safe.
Party on, roll high.
Party on.
All right. Oh, and look for us on No Dice, No Glory for the forums. That's the best place for you to give us input, and or you can send an email to Battle Vault. Or podcast@battlavault.com. Sorry, that's the email. podcast@battlavault.com. Or you just go to the No Dice, No Glory forums, and you can pop anything you want there in the podcast section, and we'll respond to it. All right. Thanks a lot, Ed. Thanks a lot, everybody.
All right, buddy. Be safe.